Hello and welcome to another video. Today I will be recording a sort of tour of Medibang and the general overview of how to use this program for digital art. So in contrast to Photoshop, Medibang is a more art-focused program and not so much going to have photo editing features. The benefit of this program is that it's free, which is great, and it's probably a lot simpler to use. There's not as many features to get distracted with. So I'm just going to go basically step by step through what each of these windows are, how to set up your configuration, and how to make a basic brush for digital painting. I will not be giving a painting tutorial in this video because it's basically the same exact way that I use Photoshop. They're very similar programs and you can use them almost in the exact same way. So starting off, I'm going to go up to the window interface at the top here, and you can see you have all these options. As you can see, there's not many as there were in Photoshop. So most of them are already selected, but I like to add reference, and I like to get rid of brush size because it's just not very helpful. So as you can see now, it's just a little simplified. You can also add palette if you like to work with limited color palettes, but it's not necessary. It's just an easy way to save colors. So going through these windows now, I'll give a brief overview of what each of them do. So color is, again, your basic color selector. Interestingly, there's different types that you can go through. You have the circle, but I prefer to stick with the square. It's classic. Then you have palette, where you can add different colors, and as you can see, they'll start showing up in these squares and you can save them. And then you have your brush preview with your brush control, and as you go through these different types of brushes, you can see that they all come with different controls. They have less brush options than in Photoshop, but it makes them sort of easier to control. Going down to your brush window, you can see it comes with a certain amount of brushes within the program. You can also add brushes from the cloud, which, as you can see, there's all of these different brushes that are within the program that you can either buy or unlock from the cloud that they have. They have a program, you can make a Medibang account and sign up and download these, which is a great community feature. Or you can also add a brush by making from these presets and just changing the settings slightly. Or you can add from Canvas, add from Canvas Multi, or from File. I know that might seem confusing, but I'll explain that in more detail later. And then there's add brush from script, add brush group, duplicate brush, and delete brush. So there's lots of brush creation settings, which is a great feature to have in a program because it creates a highly customized experience and allows for a lot of sandbox. So the best tool for brush creation, in my opinion, is to just create brush from Canvas, which is what I will be doing later. So going over to the other side now, there's the navigator, which is just a way that you can get around your canvas easily, and you can rotate, just very simple. Then you can see the reference where you could upload an image here, and I like this more than the way that it's set up in Photoshop because this is a feature that program doesn't have, where you can just have references for your characters or whatever's inspiring you saved up in the corner, instead of having them taking up space on your document, so they aren't wasting space. And then of course, just your typical layers. I like the fact that clipping and protect alpha and lock and everything are clearly labeled, and you don't have to remember confusing sub-menus and everything. But some of these logos are confusing. Just remember that duplicate layer is this double thing and add layer is a single one. Pretty simple. So up at the top here, you don't really need to worry about these lines. These are just guidelines, which are pretty helpful. And Then there's anti-aliasing, which just, I wouldn't worry about turning that off unless you like to go with a sort of pixel art style, because this just creates a smoothing effect. I appreciate the fact that it's easy to turn that off. And then correction is the equivalent of smoothing in other programs. This is going to be what helps create like a smoother line. So without correction, your line can be very choppy. Like, you know, you try to draw a straight line, and say you're struggling to draw a straight line, and with correction, beautiful straight line. So that's a general overview of what initially comes with the program. And then say you want to create your own brush for your ideal painting setup. What would you do? So unlike in Photoshop, where you can easily define a brush preset from within your canvas, in Medibang you create from a canvas. So you want to make a new document, and I usually say 50 by 50 pixels is again a pretty good size to create from. So creating from that, you'll want to fill this whole document in with a solid color. Black's always a safe bet. Then going down to the bottom, you will click Add Brush Bitmap from Canvas. As you can see, it doesn't look that great, but from adjusting these settings, it will look much better. There's a lot of interesting settings that can come with this, and you might want to make multiple versions of this brush so that you can have different permutations and different types of blending and sketching versions and everything. And you can all name them all differently. You can have one that's titled for painting, one that's titled for sketching, one that's titled pen, so on. So I'm going to title this one Painting. And as you can see, there's all these different settings. So I will title this one Bitmap Watercolor. And as you can see, it kind of has this choppy look again. So I'm going to make the minimum width 0, so it has that size by pressure. It's going to have brush spacing at 2 so that it's smoother. I am not going to let it rotate along because I like the sort of variation that it gives. And rotate angle, -50, or whatever you like. You can see it doesn't change it too much. It just creates slight variation. And then just adjusting these settings. You'll see as you work with it more which ones you like. Keep rotate random at 0. As you can see, it gets kind of weird as you start making it higher, and it will lag the program. So now you have a new brush, and going back to your main document, you can give it a test. So as you can see now, you have this beautiful little brush, and zooming in, you will be able to see that this will blend pretty nicely with each other. It's not as smooth as in, say, Photoshop, but it does blend pretty nicely. So I hope that this tutorial was vaguely helpful in learning how to use some features of Medibang. It's a pretty intuitive program and one of the more powerful free programs out there in terms of digital art creation. I would say that it's more accessible than Krita and better than Fire Alpaca, so I think that it's kind of the best to start with. So if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer, and I am thankful that you watched this video. I hope that you're having a great day, and I would be very happy if you would like and subscribe and comment. Thank you.